Welcome. I just want to get you guys.
And we got lots to chat about.
And if you want a photo with Justin.
Thank you very much for you. That will be a guiding beacon for us.
Thank
to
you.
navigate
Thank
our way
you,
through
Jean.
these very difficult times. But I think you said it tonight. We are social beings and we want to spend time together. We just want to get out together. I mean, it's been a dreadful time. So
For
let's
sure.
enjoy each other and welcome once again. And
Thank you, Jean. Thank you very much. I arrived here today because I think it's an interesting story so you guys understand where you're getting your information from, because who you get your information from and who you consume your information from is as important as the information itself. So, guys, I grew up exceptionally poor. And I'm not talking about the kind of poor where you decide whether you can eat out or not. I'm talking about the kind of poor where the decision is, do we buy a new pair of pants this year or do we pay the school fees? That's the kind of poor. And if you've grown up poor, you look at the world a different way. And so I always grew up trying to figure out money. I always felt like the square peg in the round hole. And so when I turned 13, I was fortunate enough to get a rugby bursary to go to a really good school. And I found myself at a great school amongst kids who had access to everything they wanted. Their parents could afford the latest sports kit, their parents took them out for dinners, and it was a different world to me. I was thrown in a place I didn't understand. And the only way I could compete and fit in that world was to go and make my own money. So at age 13, I started a business and I started cutting hair. I wasn't very good at it at first, but I got better very quickly. And fortunately, when you're in boarding school, the youngsters around you don't have a lot of choice. They're forced to have haircuts, and that's the way things work. With that haircut money, I literally bought my first proper business. I bought the school tuck shop in Standard 8. I owned the school tuck shop. And from that, the entrepreneur in me was born. And I stand before you today having started 109 businesses. People don't know this about me. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. But in creating those 109 businesses, there's been a lot more failure than there has been success. And 109 or however many businesses sounds is less important than the lessons I've learned along the way and the people that I've interacted with. But I've never forgotten where I've come from, ever. And so one of the things that I've always tried to do in my businesses is stay behind the scenes. And I'm going to be very honest because I'm in a space in my life where I speak exceptionally candidly. Guys, please come through, find a seat.
I'm looking, but Sam is...
Take my seat. Take my seat. I'm not eating tonight, clearly.
Yeah.
I've always been, and I'm speaking very candidly, and I think we're in a place in South Africa where we can speak honestly for the first time in a long time. I'm a pale male, which is like having AIDS in this country. And I have felt very guilty, and I felt a lot of feelings and a lot of things, and so I've been behind the scenes in these businesses, and I've been comfortable in the background because I've been scared to say certain things because I have this exoskeleton. And if I break out crying tonight, please don't judge me because I'm exceptionally emotional about the stuff I have to say. Thursday, the 26th of March, 2020. This country was put into lockdown. And I want you guys to go back to 2020. Nobody knew what was coming. Families were panicking. People didn't know if they would have their jobs. People didn't know what they were going to do for money. And people were stressing. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you guys the businesses that I own because most of you will know those businesses. They're very well-known businesses, but one of them happens to be one of the biggest credit bureaus in this country. Okay? And I saw the collective data set of what people were doing with their money when lockdown happened. People were taking home loans. People were taking personal loans. People were doing whatever they could to get their hands on money because they didn't know what was coming. And I know all of you are sitting there relating to what I'm saying because you can remember that time. Everybody was living in fear. And I woke up the one morning and something in me had stirred so deeply I could no longer shut up. I could no longer live with the fact that I'd ejected myself from poverty and my family from poverty, and that only 1% of the people truly understand money, while 99% of the people have no idea what is going on with money. And I know there's some of you here who really think you know what you're doing with money. But if you are working for money today, trading time for money, you don't know what you're doing. Hear me. I know it's a painful truth. I'm here to tell you guys things that you don't want to hear. That makes me unpopular amongst a lot of people. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. I'm here to wake people from their slumber. 1% of the world's population is truly wealthy, has the ability to truly retire today if they want to, based on the fact that they understand money and the monetary system. And I had to learn that the hard way. So how did I learn it? And I'm going to keep this story short and simple. Because I'm a very analytical guy, and it's a fascinating story which I'll share one day. I got hit in the head by a pole. I've got a plate in my head. I became dyslexic. And in that miracle, I found I became really good at numbers. It was a miracle. Not in a religious kind of way, in like I worked really damn hard at it. Okay? And so everything for me comes back to numbers and facts and like stick to the facts. And so I went back to the beginnings of money. Where did money start? Why did money start? That's how I figured money out. Do you really know the story of money? Do you know that the paper notes in your pocket once represented a promise over gold and silver held in the bank? That the bank should actually hold gold and silver in the bank to the equal value of currency in circulation? Do you know about fractional reserve banking? Do you know that leverage has caused the problems we have in our society at the moment? But that's a discussion for another day. I sat down and I figured it out. I went back to the origins of money and I worked from the back all the way to where we are today. And I figured out money. And that's how I got out of this entrapment of poverty. And so I woke up and I decided I can't keep quiet anymore. I can't sit behind the scenes in these businesses and make iniquitous sums of money and not tell other South Africans how to get themselves out of the situation. Because we have inequality, we have social injustice, and we have a political regime who quite frankly doesn't know their arse from their elbow when it comes to running an economy. Okay? And so I woke up with this fire up my arse to start talking. And sitting over there in the black shirt is a man by the name of Anderson, who was one of the very first people to follow me. And he's wearing a cap with a dollar sign on. He was one of my very first YouTube subscribers 2 years ago, who started following my journey. And I started talking about money, I started talking about wealth, I started talking about investing. And my mission was, if I can just affect 5 people, and those 5 people can go and affect another 5 people, I can make a change. If that's all I can do. Holy crap, did I not anticipate what would happen. The television stations started calling, the radio stations started calling. People wanted to talk to me about the stuff that I was talking about that I thought nobody would actually want to hear me talk about. the unpopular opinion suddenly became something that people wanted to hear. And this gave me the confidence to start telling my story. And by the way, this is a shocking story, guys. Most of you know me from social media. I only opened up my social media accounts June this year. And right now, 250,000 people follow me. And I don't have any ego over it because it's not a representation of me. It's a representation of what South Africa wants. It's a representation of what this country needs. It needs honest voices who are going to talk about honest things, hold people accountable, but also be self-reflective about their own mistakes. And I make mistakes, and I can be self-reflective about that. So let's quickly talk about, I just need some water, excuse me for a second. So let's quickly talk about how this ocean basket thing happened. Because how did this crazy guy talks about money come to start talking about ocean basket? So we've just finished wrapping up season 5 of the Money Podcast, which if you haven't listened to it, go to Jackpod, Apple, Spotify, all of them, go listen to the Money Podcast. So I've been interviewing South African billionaires for this season, and you guys will hear them on there. Multi-billionaires, people who most people will never get near. We've interviewed them in this season of the Money Podcast. But we also wanted to interview CEOs of companies who I felt had heart. And one of them was Ocean Basket. And I got to interview Grace Harding, who's unfortunately not here with us this evening. And Grace and I had what I can only describe as my good friend over here, Karine, who I've known for a very long time. The reason I'm choking up is because Karine taught me a word many years ago. I don't know if you remember it. Synchronicity. When you're living your purpose, things line up. I did the interview with Grace, and then Jean, where are you, Jean? Jean heard me on Jacaranda, obviously having a go at some financial company about something, and took the risk to bring me into this evening. That's synchronicity. And it also so happens that I have a story with Ocean Basket that goes back to me being very poor. So that's where we are today. So Jean, I tasted seafood for the first time at 28. Because when I was growing up, meat was a luxury. And seafood, you best damn believe, was a hell of a luxury. That's why Indian people love prawns. True story. And I can make lots of Indian jokes, by the way, because I'm literally part of the tribe. I'm more Indian than I am white. You can ask my wife, wherever she is, she'll tell you. Now, I always considered seafood to be a luxury because of the way I grew up. Obviously, growing up poor, that was something that rich people did. I always considered it to be expensive. And Ocean Basket was actually the very first place I ever tasted seafood. Ever. And I will never forget that experience. Guys, I'm telling you, I can show you my DMs. Come up to me later tonight. I'll show you the number of brands approaching me to come and do stuff with them. I say no all the time. I said yes to Jean because I have history beyond, and they didn't even know the story. Because I have a story here that I want to tell you guys about coming from poverty to this place. In fact, the founding manifesto of Ocean Basket was to democratize seafood for everyone. I want to democratize financial information for everyone. I want people to understand money. I want to wake people from their slumber. So, let's talk about the current economic times. I don't want to depress the hell out of you guys. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. We are officially in a recessionary environment. The recession in the overseas markets, especially America and the UK, it is a lot worse than what we're experiencing here. Guys, I've got friends in California, I've got friends in New York, I've got friends in the UK. We literally are living like rich people in this country. We've got land, we've got water, we've got freedom. And I'm going to say this right now, and there's going to be one or two people going to come up to me afterwards and going to say, well, I hate you for what you've just said. And I'm okay with that because, like I said, I'm not here to be liked, I'm here to be honest. I don't like the West. Every problem we have in our financial system, every problem we have in our morality, every problem we have stems from the West. They've broken the monetary system. They've put leverage into the monetary system. They've made us value money over people. They've made us care about money instead of humanity. They've made us care about profit instead of people. And that needs to change. And we in South Africa have a unique opportunity to do something very different about it, which I'll talk about in a second. There's also geopolitical tensions. If you guys, and I don't follow the news, by the way, I've got TVs at home, I don't switch them on, but I do follow my social media feeds, and apparently sleepy Joe Biden doesn't like Xi Jinping too much, and vice versa. Let's be honest, there is tensions between East and West. And Anderson will attest to this. I've made a video on YouTube which really pissed my American audience off because I said I hate the Americans for what they've done. I hate the way they've imposed their politics on the rest of the world. And they need to accept that there is an emerging superpower beyond America, and we need to prepare for a changing economic environment. There is a geopolitical change underfoot. And our generation needs to understand that, and South Africa is in a unique place to benefit from it. We also need to understand that the nature of money is changing. So by a show of hands here quickly, who has got cash in their wallet? Show of hands. Okay. No, coins don't count. Coins don't count. I rest my case. Okay. How many of you have credit cards in your wallet? Okay. How many of you have an app that you use to pay with? Doesn't matter if it's PayPal, doesn't matter if it's Zapper, doesn't matter. Guys, this has changed in the space of that. We are living in times of shifting economies. And we need to understand this because money is evolutionary. Money doesn't stand still. Money is not going to be what it is today 20 years from now. Quick show of hands. How many people have bought cryptocurrency here? Okay. Quick show of hands. How many people have heard of cryptocurrency? I rest my case. Now, the reason why I'm asking these questions, by the way, I'm not big on cryptocurrency. I don't profess to believe cryptocurrency is the way forward. I do believe in what it represents potentially. So, and this is not financial advice. Okay? Just so we're clear on that, in case somebody goes out and buys Bitcoin and then sues me later. The big disclaimer. Right. But the nature of money is changing. The reason why I'm asking you guys these questions, I want you to understand, as I'm asking these questions, money is changing. And if you're not changing with money, you're going to be left behind. You're going to be left behind. Don't become like your parents when the computer came around. They're like, oh God, I don't know how to work this thing. Excel, you know, what's Excel? Today, if you can't work a computer, you can't get a job. That's just the way things are. Okay? Domestic politics, well, let's go back to the Beninin ging. Huh? Domestic politics is pressured. And you know why it's pressured, guys? Because government cannot deliver on their empty promises. They cannot. It doesn't matter how many promises they make, they cannot deliver. And the reason they cannot deliver is because it comes down to this. There's not enough money left over after they've bought themselves fat cars, nice houses, and all the rest of it. It comes down to money. They don't understand money. Okay? So we are being led by a bunch of fools. So even those who have the best political will don't have the resources to make the change. And then let's be honest, guys, if you don't see this, there's something drastically wrong with you. Corona just accelerated all the shit in the world. Every issue, let's go to your own family. Let's go to your own family. If there was somebody who you had suspicions over was a bit awkward, you knew they were awkward after lockdown. That's why there's so many divorces after this lockdown period. Everything just got accelerated. We got put on what would have happened 10 years from now, just happened like this. Okay? So now let's talk about the non-doom and gloom, because, of course, when you talk about the current economy, guys are going, yes, everything's going to crap, there's no opportunity left. I personally believe, and Anderson will attest this because I'm constantly talking about it on my YouTube channel, change equals opportunity. Change equals opportunity. If you are prepared to see the opportunity that change presents, you have so much potential. But it's not the human way. Humans don't like change. Humans hate change. Humans want to do what humans have always done. So I want to encourage you guys to think about things differently. So let's talk about the opportunity. This is a great time to invest. Does anybody want to ask me why?
Why?
Why? Let's hear it. Why? Okay, why? Because everybody's selling shit now. When do you buy? When everybody's selling. First rule of being Indian. Okay? You buy when everybody else is selling. Okay? When the market is going up in the stock market, you don't run and buy. You sell. Feed the sale. Okay? There's huge opportunity. If you're looking to buy houses, if you're looking to buy any asset that's worth money, you want to buy when everybody's panicking and selling. It goes back to the oldest story in time. Why do you think drug dealers move in on a corner? Drop the property prices, guys. This is why. Okay? This has got to be the greatest time in the freaking world to start a business. Show of hands, who's in their own business here? Show of hands, who wants to be in their own business? Okay, so listen to me and listen carefully to a guy who started 109 businesses and who's done it the hard way. The market is more equal now than ever. A guy with a cell phone, me, the bald head and a lisp, can reach 250,000 people. It has never been more equal. You don't have to get on an airplane to fly for meetings. You can Zoom. It has never been more equal. You don't have to rent office space. You can go to co-working space. You can rent by the hour. Everything has changed. Never has there been a better time to start a business. The question is, what business do you start? If you guys have got some real interest in starting businesses and you want to know how to start a business, catch me for a Q&A session afterwards. I'll give you the answers. But the short answer is very simple. Solve the problem. Solve the problem, you always have money. I've been doing this for 109 businesses. Solve the problem, you always have money. Now is a really good time to get good at money. Anybody want to know why? Because there's less of it. The banks have raised the interest rates. There's less money in circulation. You're not going to get those increases you were looking for at the end of the year. You'll be lucky to get a bonus, which means you've got to make do with the money that you have. And if you can become really good at the little money that you've got right now, and you become good at that, what's going to happen when you have a lot of money? You're going to be even better at it. This is also a great time to capitalize on change. Like I said, everything's changing. You're competing differently. I can compete against the biggest corporate just with a cell phone today. Everything is changing. You've got an opportunity to capitalize on that change. And guys, I really hope you're going to ask why after this question. If you don't say why really loud, I'm not answering the question. South Africa has got to be the greatest frickin' place in the world to be right now. Why? Because nobody wants to bomb us. Okay, so how many minutes are left? Do you need me to break?
When there's a natural break.
Okay, cool. Okay, so guys, let me tell you about my journey. My mission is to uplift South Africa, and I really hope that you guys will take this message out there. I want you guys to be spreaders of this message. I want you guys to take this message out there in whatever short way and capacity you have to do it. Even if it's just to your brother, to your sister, to your father, to your uncle, to somebody who needs it. Take this message to them. How do we uplift this country? How do we get out of the shitty situation that we're in right now? How do we move forward? Because it's all very well. Somebody said to me the other day, they were looking at my ESCOM videos or my all these like really hectic videos I put out. Like, what's the point of like doing these videos? It doesn't do anything. I said, well, first thing is to educate people. You don't know what you don't know, right? So when the petrol attendant now knows R7.39 of every litre is going to government in tax, he goes, holy shit, and I'm getting taxed on my monthly wages and my weekly wages. There's a problem here. Next time I vote, I'm going to make a different choice. Education is everything, right? So the first thing is we've got to hold government accountable. And I used to feel that it wasn't my place to do this because I'm in this exoskeleton. In this country, I felt I didn't have the place to do it. But as I've spoken to people in this country, as I've traveled from the tip of the Cape all the way to KZN up to here, people have come up to me in the streets and said, thank you for speaking logic. And by the way, I don't openly advertise that I'm married to somebody who's not the same color as me. People naturally see that and they realize, holy shit, he's not a racist. He's actually got little kids running around that are 0.5s, as we call them. Okay? Or what I like to call a true product of this country. So we need to hold this government accountable. The second thing is, and Gina, I don't know where you are, but I really want you to hear this and talk about it in your circles. And Karine, who's a very prominent business person too, I want you guys to talk about this. We need to bring about socially responsible capitalism. Now let me introduce you guys to the idea, because I'm a capitalist. I believe in making money. Money can change the world. Entrepreneurship can change the world. But it cannot be on the backs of people who are poor. It cannot be that CEOs of companies earn hundreds of millions a year when the lowest paid workers cannot afford to buy and consume the products in that business. Even Henry Ford had the foresight, the initiative to understand that the Model T car had to A, be affordable enough for the factory line workers to afford it, but secondly, that they had to be paid enough that they could afford it. We have to get corporates to have a different conversation in this country. We have to have corporates talking about meeting people more somewhere in the middle. Now, I'm not talking about communism because that's a stuffed up system that doesn't work. I'm not talking about socialism. I'm talking about not 99.1%. I'm talking about 80-20. We need people to get off their asses and work. We can't have socialism. We can't have communism. It doesn't work. But we cannot have somebody packing bags at Checkers, operating a till, watching thousands of rands come through every day, and they have to go shop at the Pakistani store down the road because they can't afford to shop at Checkers. It's not right. It cannot be that we continue to allow this in this country. And by the way, I'm having these conversations with the most prominent people in this country. So some of you will see this dollar logo. Anderson's got it on his cap over there. And a lot of people have asked me, oh, is it a Bitcoin thing? Is it a Bitcoin thing? Let me tell you why I put a dollar logo on here. In this country, we've got into the habit of consuming. We produce sweet bugger all in this country anymore. We've become a net importer of everything. We're even importing our electricity at this point. Okay? The reason I put this on here is I want this to be an affirmation for this country. We need to go overseas and bring currency in. What are we doing fighting each other over the same pie here? We're fighting over land. We're fighting over rands. Come on. How stupid can we be? We've got to go and make the pie bigger. We've got to make the pie bigger. We've got to bring dollars in. We've got to stop focusing on rands and fighting each other over the little scraps on the table, and we're going to start producing stuff.
And you'll tell us that after the break.
1 second. 1 second. And so the last part to my mission is financial education. I want to bring financial education to the schools. I want to bring it to young people. I want to democratize money in a way it's never been done before. Because people in the financial industry speak to you like doctors speak to you, like you're stupid, in hieroglyphics and acronyms and language you don't understand. And I want to make it simple that anyone can understand money. Anybody. And I want to bring that to everybody on every single platform. So if you've got an idea, bring it to me. If you have a platform, bring it to me. I alone cannot bring about this change. I need people with me on this journey. So that said, I've got a lot more to say, but apparently we're having a break.
Just to replenish the glass.
Okay. I don't have many vices in this world. You might see me later smoking a cigar downstairs. It's one of the few vices in the world I have. By the way, you don't inhale cigars. That's why I smoke cigars. But I work. Working is what I do. And I think it's because I grew up poor. I don't know how to turn this machine off that I've created. And so I work. This is what I do. And I've put myself in hospital from working. I've been in hospital many times. I've actually had to go into a hospital to sleep. They've had to induce sleep. I don't know how to switch off. So I'm the least qualified person in the world to talk about balance. But I do know about balancing a checkbook, and I do know about balancing money. And my very dear wife over here, who really is everything to me, has brought about, in the last couple of years, the most incredible diversity to my life. Besides the fact that we call ourselves yin and yang for obvious reasons, she's taught me the importance of balance. She's taught me that you have to work hard, but you also have to play hard. And you have to love, and you have to live with an open heart. And that family is really important. And I'm talking specifically as a white person now. So I'm taking this story back as a white person. So a lot of you guys won't relate. But as white people, we don't value family enough. We kick our kids out the house at 18. They must go be independent. And we see them maybe once a month for a Sunday lunch. And that's the extent of family for us. In brown cultures, or as my kids now call it, peach, because apparently they're colorblind. Peach people, family is important. Family is everything. Family is the heart of a home. And my wife and her family are teaching me that. We are 6 years into our relationship. We've got 3 beautiful kids. And every day I have to learn to stop working. I have to learn balance. But I know about the balance with money. I know about the balance of everything else. That's the one thing I'm having to learn. And what I've learned through this process is that sharing a meal together is truly a gift. It is one of the few things that we do as human beings, across cultures, across ages, across generations. It's one of the few things that we do as human beings that really connects us. You can be of different religion, you can be of a different background, You can be of a different gender, but breaking bread, there's just something about sitting down and sharing a meal with someone. And as a kid, I used to go into the township, much to my parents' horror, and I used to eat pap, and what is now known as very popular shisanyama. I used to go to the Indian areas because I was a very naughty young white man, and I used to go chase down a good Indian meal. I used to go chase stekkies. And I love the diversity that comes through sharing a meal. We learn a lot about each other. We learn a lot about our cultures. Sharing a meal with friends is truly a gift. And I hope tonight when you leave here, you've made a new friend. Because it's one of the few ways you get to connect with people. But of course, dining out and sharing meals with people can be difficult. And how does one go out and have a meal and be financially responsible at the same time? And this is actually where this conversation started. And I actually said to some of the people at Ocean Basket, are you sure you want me to have this talk? Because I grew up poor. And I have a different way of navigating menus. And so when I posted a video on social media that I fed a family of 5 at Ocean Basket for $400, including drinks, excluding the tip, to be fair, I did disclose that in the video, people thought it was absolute nonsense. But when you grow up poor, there's certain things that you do. So, show of hands quickly, who knows what a tumbler is? Of course, all the Indian people will know. Okay. And my one white friend who also has an Indian partner, right? So, in Indian culture, a tumbler is a glass. Is it an app? No, it's not the app. No, it's not the app. So a tumbler in Indian speak is one of these. It's a glass. Yeah, I know. Most commonly purchased in polystyrene. And what happens is you go into a shop and you buy a 2 liter. It's called a 2 liter. Okay? And you buy a couple of tumblers for the family. And this is the way you navigate being poor. You don't go and buy tins of cool drink because it's expensive. And so when Ocean Basket said, come and talk about saving money, I said, well, I don't know if you want to hear everything I have to say because some of the things are quite controversial. So one of the first things I want to talk about navigating dining out is with friends. And you guys are going to laugh at some of these things because guaranteed you've got friends like this. The first thing is, when you go out, you want to make sure you check menus first. Now, I'm talking my personal experience. I'm telling you what I do. If I'm going out with a circle of friends, they say we're going to go out to dinner, I'll say which restaurants. The first thing Mr. Money does, hey, I go to the website. I want to check the menu. I want to check the prices. If there's too much SQ there, we're not going to that restaurant. Okay? SQ means we're going to pay. Right? That's all I know. So I check prices beforehand. These days you can go onto websites. Another alternative, if they don't have it on the website, you can pick up the phone. Or we actually just go there in person. Sometimes I'll quickly pop by. Can I have a look at your menu? I'm thinking of coming here with my family. Can I see the menu? What we also tend to do is we go in large groups. And this is quite controversial, but we will actually create our own menu, right? So if you've got a whole group of people, and the Indian people again will understand this, because Auntie Segri at Christmas time is going to order the seafood platter, when everybody else is just having one prawn, okay? And so in large groups, what we generally do when we go out is we'll phone the restaurant and say, listen, we've got a group of 20 coming. Can we book a private area? And can we talk about setting up a specific menu? And sometimes we'll actually even print the menu out. We'll go to the restaurant, we'll pick the items we want, we'll put it on the menu, so we don't give our guests choices, especially if I'm paying. Have you had this happen before? Okay. So then the next thing is bill splitting. Guys, hey, this is the one, huh? This is the one. How many times have you not gone to dinner with someone and the bill comes and that one has ordered a crayfish thermidor, maybe it's had a seafood platter for 4 and it's one person, but they're only paying for chicken schnitzel? Huh? Happens all the time, right? Or, I left my wallet at home. But we got apps now. No data. I've heard all the excuses, huh? So, generally what we do if we're in a large group, especially if it's not friends that we know, we pre-arrange the moment we walk in. Almost like a divorce. Bill split, please. These people are on this bill, those people are on that bill. And up front, it just eliminates a lot of awkwardness. You want a chow crayfish thermidor? Go for it. I'm going to eat what I'm going to eat and what I can afford. Because guys, there's a lot of social pressure around eating out. And especially, show of hands who can relate to this amongst emerging middle class black people. There we go. Because there is a social pressure not to talk about the fact that, hey, this is expensive. It's not culturally appropriate to say, but you know, this is outside of my price range, it's outside of my budget. And then the next thing I want to say, and this is probably the most controversial thing, people don't like it when I say this, but think about your friends. Having friends with a similar value system, not necessarily the same financial standing, but a similar value system is super important. Because people who have the same value system as you will respect your choices. They will respect that you can only afford certain things. Or if you have more money and you want to have something extra, they'll respect that's your choice too. And they're not going to judge you, and they're not going to talk behind your back. These are just good life advice things, and it translates directly into your money story. Then we talk about children. How many people have got children? Okay, so a lot of you have got kids. I raise my kids like it's 1920. My kids don't have any rights. They're not of age to vote. My house is not a democracy. And when it comes to the menu, my kids certainly don't order off the menu. And in an Indian household, this is foreign. Because Ma doesn't understand. Because Ma wants the kids to have everything, right? But we know what the kids are going to eat. We know what they're not going to eat. We know what they're going to throw away. So we don't allow children to order. When they get to an age where they can make responsible decisions and they earn the right to be responsible, and they've learned from us being at restaurants and ordering like human beings and being responsible and making good choices, which, by the way, another good friend here will tell you, whenever I go to a restaurant with people, then they paying, I'll order the cheapest item on the menu out of respect for them, no matter how much money they have. And I teach that to my children. It's a value system. I don't allow my kids cool drink on the table before mealtime. Why? Because the children get that sugar rush. They chow that cool drink, which, by the way, is about 50% to 60% of the value of the kid's meal itself in most instances. $27-30 for a drink at a restaurant, right? By the time the meal arrives, the kid's like, I'm not hungry. Huh? Now I'm paying for expensive takeaways. So, you will get your drink when the food arrives. That's the rule. But we always order table water. I know. I came from poverty, guys. Don't judge me. Tap water. Tap water. I know it's a scary subject. Put some lemon in. It's perfectly healthy. Pour some ice. Fixes everything. Even Corona. Okay? And by the way, I say it as a joke, but actually we should all drink water before we consume a meal. This is a scientific fact. You eat less, it's better for your digestive system, and it's better for your wallet. Is not going to be ordering starters and everything to go with it, right? So I like to bulk my guests up on water. Now you know why you always get water, Karine. I believe that restaurants are teachable moments for children. And a restaurant is an incredible place to teach children about societal values and social values and how you treat people who are serving you, and about manners and about table etiquette. As I was saying, I grew up incredibly poor, but my father had one habit. Every single Sunday we used to go to Mike's Kitchen. I don't know if anybody here remembers Mike's Kitchen. But we used to every single Sunday go to Mike's Kitchen, and we couldn't afford a lot. So we used to have bread, and this is where I learned about ordering chips and rice. But the reason my dad took us to Mike's Kitchen was to teach us how to conduct ourselves in public and how to have table manners and table etiquette. And he used to take the old 1 rand coins and the old 50-cent coins in the day, and he used to put it underneath our elbows. And we were 4 boys, 3 brothers. Put them under our elbows, and we used to have to sit and eat with those under our elbows like this. And if we dropped them, we got a hiding. If we kept them there the whole meal, well, we didn't get a hiding. You didn't get the money. It's not like today. You didn't get a participation prize. Okay? But what it taught us is it taught us etiquette. It taught us values. It taught us about how to conduct ourselves in public. And I think it's important for those of you who have kids to understand that when you take your children out in public, it's not just for you to have a good time. It's also to impose a value system on your children. That when somebody comes and serves you at the table, to say please and to say thank you. And to treat somebody who's serving you with respect. Because that is what it is about. And then, of course, like I said, when it comes to kids, I don't believe in ordering ridiculously. Sharing platters are great for kids. So that's one of the reasons I love Ocean Basket. And by the way, chips and rice. Chips and rice. Kids love tomato sauce and chips. They don't want all the fancy stuff. Chips and rice. That's what they chow. This is what they want. You're going to save yourself an absolute fortune. And then just some other quick tips. So I always check for deals before I'm dining out. I know it's the Indian in me, I can't help it. Midweek specials are great at restaurants. There's always midweek specials. If you're prepared to not go out on a weekend, get the babysitter or take the kids with, but midweek specials are always good. This is a really important one. Know what you want to eat before you go out. It's the thing that drives me nuts with women, especially when you get to the table and go, what do you want? I don't know, what do you want? What are you having? I don't know, what are you having? And before you know, you ordered off the SQ. One SQ coming up. You went out for pizza, you came back with crayfish thermidor, and your bank account, she's empty. So know what you want to eat before you go out. Have an idea in mind, and very importantly, set a budget, guys. I know this sounds like old school advice, but have a budget in mind. Don't just go out and let loose, because you're going to feel it on Monday. It's like the after Christmas hangover. This is going to be one that hurts, and I'm sorry to the restaurateurs in the room, but alcohol at the table costs ridiculous money. There's cheaper places to drink than a restaurant. Like the bottle store. But really, like I stay away from alcohol in a restaurant. I don't go near it. My bank account, she can't afford it, never will. And that's not because I drink a lot. I know you can spend this much on food and this much on alcohol. Okay? And then starters versus mains. I see these people going out and they're like, hey, bring the starters, bring the mains, bring the dessert. We've got a rule. We eat mains and we might have dessert. Okay? Or what my wife and I often do is we'll order lots of starters and we have like a starters sharing thing going on. But it's very rare, especially today, most of the restaurants are competing very hard on starters. And they're serving big starters, guys. It's hard to eat a starter and a main all together today. You guys are going to be rolling out of here tonight. You guys are going to be rolling out of here tonight. So another tip I've got for you guys, and it's maybe not a tip, but it's my personal advice from my heart. If you can't afford to tip when you go out, and I'm assuming most of you in this room probably would be able to, but if you can't, take takeaway. That's the solution. You want to eat out, you can't afford the tip, takeaway. Ocean Basket has one of the most amazing takeaways I've ever had in my life. I was telling them today when I walked in here, I said, I'm going to stop.
Carry on. 1 minute. 1 minute mains, then you carry on.
Okay. The boxes are so well designed, it keeps the food warm for like 2-3 hours. Who's taking the Ocean Basket takeaway? Okay, so you guys know what I'm talking about. The box is it's got foil on the inside. It's amazing, right? And the portions are really big. So takeaway. And then, again, I'm not promoting the use of credit cards, please. But credit cards, rewards programs, guys, pay very close attention. E-bucks especially. Greenback says, "Guk!" Sorry for anybody who banks with Nedbank. Greenbacks, I mean, that thing's like, it's like Solana or Bitcoin. Once you put your money in, it's not coming out. But there's some really good loyalty rewards programs out there. And sometimes if you go and dine out on a certain day, you get double rewards. Sometimes you get 2 for 1. Pay attention to these things because you can really get very good deals out of it. And then I think we'll leave it at that. Let's get some food on the table. My wife refuses to take any of my money. She refuses to take a single solitary cent. So much so that when we got married, she insisted we sign a divorce agreement up front. And the reason for this is both of us were previously married, and we know that at the end of the day, as much as we love to believe that marriage will last forever, things happen. Life happens. And so whilst we were amicable in the beginning, and she said, let's sit down and agree to the terms of our divorce, should it ever happen. Who gets the dog, who gets the kids, who pays for what, and that goes on ice, and there's never going to be a problem. And so my wife is a peculiar person when it comes to money. She won't take my card, she won't take my cash, she doesn't like to touch my wallet. But my goodness, when it comes to the table and tipping, she's the first one to grab my wallet. She will make sure wherever we go that the staff get tipped. And that is because she grew up poor. And she understands what it means to be poor. And this is why we relate to each other. It's a common story that we share. And so, I don't want to give anybody a lecture on tipping, but tipping should always reflect the level of service that you get. And I don't believe that you should always tip. I think if you didn't receive adequate service, you should go and speak to management. You should bring it up because it gives the establishment a chance to fix the problems. And it's important that we support South African businesses and we tell them that we're unhappy with something so they have the chance to fix it. Don't be a Karen or a Karen or whatever it is these days on social media, and be a dignified, humble South African and go to the business owner. Go to the management and say, this is something I was unhappy with. But if you were happy with the service, at a minimum, I believe in a 10% tip. But guys, often today, to me, 10% is not fair. You eat a 200 Rand meal or a 300 Rand meal, that's a 30 Rand tip. Guys, what does 30 Rand do today? So often, we'll leave $100, we'll leave $150. My wife will force me to do a bit more sometimes. And I think you should feel good about giving a tip, because when you go out there and you support people like this, remember who you're supporting. You're supporting single mothers who are raising kids. You're raising families in townships. You're supporting an informal economy. And so eating out and dining out, whilst it's a privilege for you, it is also a privilege for the people who are in this industry to be able to earn, to be supported. So please, guys, think about it when you go into restaurants. I don't think 10% is fair all the time. I also believe in leaving thank you notes, something my wife and I practice religiously. Often we will leave the till slip behind, or the bill, with a tip, and especially if you don't have enough money. Just a couple of kind words on the slip. We'll turn the slip around and we'll say, thank you very much for the excellent service. You had a beautiful smile today. Just saying something nice to somebody is sometimes worth more than money. Think about that person who's been standing on their feet the whole day serving other people. Just saying thank you. Just saying I appreciate you. We have forgotten these things. And I think it is super important as South Africans that we don't become like people in the West. Because there is one thing that we as South Africans do very differently that nobody else in the world does, and I know because I've traveled. We talk to each other. We talk to each other in queues. We talk to each other as strangers. Travel a little bit. Who of you have traveled? Raise your hands. Who've traveled? You guys will know, when you're in airports, especially transit airports like Dubai, if somebody starts talking to you in a transit airport, they're South African. Nobody else will talk to you. Guys, we have to translate this to people who serve us as well. And I also believe in leaving reviews. You know, a lot of people take to Google reviews these days to leave a shitty review if they've experienced bad service. I think that's the worst thing you can do personally. I think your first port of call should be to go to management. If you cannot get through to a manager and you don't get what you went for, which is to get a response, then go there. But give businesses a chance, guys. Think about yourself. Do you know how hard it is to run a business? Do you know how tough it is to keep staff fed? Do you know how tough it is to meet everybody's expectations? We need to think about this, and we need to think about the importance of supporting South African businesses, the importance of... Yes, please, by all means. Please stand up, please. Thank you. I love it when guys participate.
I think there's a general rule that a lot of people aren't aware of when it comes to support or comments, rather.
Yep.
Is that if you get great service, 9 times out of 10, only 1 out of 10 people will say something.
True.
But if you have bad service,
Yep.
9 out of 10 people will
Yep.
complain.
Yep.
Which obviously hinders restaurants because you're getting 90% of the reviews are negative.
Exactly.
Versus the support that you
Exactly.
actually need for the positive side.
100%. No, thank you. And it's absolutely true. And people make decisions based on those reviews. I know that I do it. I choose my contractors. I choose. I mean, I wish I could have. I wish Tinder, if Tinder was around in my day, had like a review system there. You know, so many stars for this chick. Life would have been a lot simpler. Eh? But guys, this is the way we interact in the world today. And I think just being a human, I want everybody to come back to being South African. Guys, we are so fucking special as South Africans. We are so special as South Africans. We just don't realize it. We don't realize it. We look at American culture, we look at British culture, we look at all these other cultures, and we look up to them. We are stupid. We need to look at ourselves, look around the room. Here is where the most incredible people in the world are. But we've got to act the part too. We've got to stop being the Karens of the world. We've got to stand up in our communities and we've got to lead by example. And that's why I say we've got to really support people. So guys, I want to end off quickly by talking about why I continue to support Ocean Basket as a customer. I think you guys have discovered I have my own unique story. Hopefully, as you guys are filling up your bellies on this great food, some of this stuff will resonate with you. But if you guys haven't had the salads, and I see there's some salads around here, the one thing I hate about salad, because I'm a South African male, is lettuce. I don't know who thought putting lettuce in a salad was a clever idea. Like, I just doesn't work for me. So I love Ocean Basket salads. I'm addicted to it. I can go into Ocean Basket and just chow salad. So that's one of my things. The other thing is consistency. And Janelle, who was supposed to come and give you guys a little bit of a talk about the menu and the food, and she's what's known as an innovation chef, which, by the way, I never knew what the hell an innovation chef is, but they basically sit and create the menu, and they come up with the idea on how to commercially put a menu in place, right? And this is a lovely lady on my right-hand side here, so please give her a warm hand. There's a consistency to Ocean Basket's food, and when I travel a lot, and as I mentioned, I've traveled to 77 countries, one of the things I love about Ocean Basket, I can walk into an Ocean Basket anywhere in the world, and I can get a good piece of fish and a good salad, and trust me, when you've been eating airline food and hotel food, and you can't go to the toilet because you're backed up, let's be honest, it happens, okay? A good piece, Epsom sauce, that's an explosion waiting to happen, but I know it's true because it happens. A good piece of fish and some salad is my grounding meal wherever I go. And Ocean Basket has a consistency in their food that I appreciate. And I suppose that's why Americans love Dunkin' Donuts and KFC, because it's their consistency wherever they travel. So for me, that's Ocean Basket. Also, for me, somebody who comes from this, and I can't get away from this poor thing in me, because I like to eat like poor people. I'm not a fine dining person, even though this food is like fine dining food. I'm a simple person. I like to eat with my hands. I like to touch my food, and I like to have a simple meal with great people. And Ocean Basket allows you to come in a pair of shorts, allows you to come in a t-shirt or a suit if you like. That to me is something that's very special. And then finally, the thing that everybody argues with me about is that the food is actually affordable. Now look, you can be an idiot. You can go straight to the top of that menu and get the big platter for one. But if you're really intelligent about it, there's some really affordable options on the menu. And especially the new menu. The new menu, and I can tell you, I eat at Ocean Basket every Sunday religiously. I know this menu probably better than even the staff know the menu. I'm a bit upset the famous fish has gone up in price, by the way. But I've got a new favorite, which is the baby hake. The baby hake, which is even better value for money, because that used to be my favorite. The fisherman's catch you cannot compete with. But guys, you know, I'm saying that as a joke, because go and have a look at how the price of everything has increased. I'm amazed that Ocean Basket has managed to keep their prices the way they have. And a lot of that comes down to the decision making in the process of how food is put together, of how food is sourced. How do you bring that food into the restaurant at an affordable price? There is so much science and so much decision making that goes into it. So I really do appreciate that as a customer. So the next time you go down and sit at an Ocean Basket, I hope you guys think about this. I hope that this is something that you don't just sit down and eat a piece of fish. Think about that piece of fish had to come out of the ocean. It had to make its way onto your plate, and there's a lot of hands that had to touch it. So I would just very quickly, because it was very unplanned, but I would like to get, if possible, I would like to get everybody who cooked your meals up here this evening. I'd like to get everybody who served you here this evening up quickly. We are still going to have dessert, but I'd just like you guys to meet some of the people behind the scenes and just let them feel some appreciation for the work they've put in, because we are a big group to feed. And guys, thank you very much for your time. I'm open for questions. If you guys are too shy to ask while I'm up here, one-on-one, I'm here for a long time. I'll be having a whiskey quietly somewhere later tonight. If you're too shy, come up, and a cigar, come up and chat to me. I'm here, I'm all ears. Okay. Thank you guys, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you for all your hard work, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.